The water splashed across his worn jacket, soaking through to his shirt beneath. In that moment, as their eyes met, hers widening with the slow realization of her mistake, his darkening with quiet dignity, neither could have imagined how deeply their lives would soon intertwine. If you're captivated by stories of unexpected connections and second chances, hit that like button and subscribe to see more life-changing tales that remind us how quickly fate can turn. Alexandra Winters stood frozen on the sidewalk, her hand still gripping the empty coffee cup she'd just hurled at what she thought was the building's dumpster. Instead, its contents had drenched the man who had been kneeling beside it, apparently retrieving something that had fallen. "What is wrong with you?" he asked quietly, rising to his full height. He wasn't shouting, which somehow made it worse. Water dripped from his beard, and coffee stains spread across his white shirt, the only crisp, clean thing about his otherwise weathered appearance. Alexandra's mouth opened, but no words came. She was never at a loss for words. As CEO of Winters Innovation, one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the city, she commanded rooms of investors and boards of directors with ease. Yet here she stood, speechless before a stranger she'd just doused with her day-old coffee. "I'm so sorry," she finally managed. I didn't see you there." "Clearly." He began wiping at his shirt with a napkin that was quickly becoming useless. "This was my interview shirt." The words hit Alexandra like a physical blow. Interview shirt. The man was going to a job interview, and she had just ruined his chances. "Please, let me help," she said, reaching into her designer handbag for tissues. "I can pay for dry cleaning, or a new shirt." "I don't have time for dry cleaning. The interview is in 20 minutes, across town." His voice remained level, but his eyes betrayed his desperation. Alexandra glanced at her watch, a habit from years of scheduling her life down to the minute. "What size are you?" "My office is right here." "We might have something." "Dad." A small voice interrupted them. A little girl, no more than 7 years old, came running up, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. "Are we going to be late?" The man's expression softened instantly. "No, sweetheart. We're fine." He turned back to Alexandra. "I need to go." "Wait," Alexandra called, but he was already walking away, his daughter's hand in his. She watched them disappear around the corner, an unfamiliar feeling of guilt settling in her stomach. That night, Alexandra couldn't sleep. The man's face kept appearing in her thoughts, the quiet dignity, the lack of anger that would have been justified. And the little girl, looking up at her father with complete trust. Alexandra had built her company from nothing, had overcome every obstacle thrown in her path, but she had never had to worry about making ends meet while caring for a child alone. The next morning, she instructed her assistant to find out about any job interviews that had been scheduled in the area yesterday. It was a long shot, but Alexandra Winters didn't build a tech empire by giving up easily. 3 days and several phone calls later, she had a name: Ethan Parker. Single father. Former software engineer who had been laid off during company downsizing 8 months ago. The interview had been for a position far below his qualifications, and he hadn't gotten it. Arriving with coffee stains hadn't helped. Alexandra made a decision. She would offer him a job. Not out of pity, she didn't run a charity, but because if he had the dignity to not scream at a woman who had just ruined his interview clothes, he had the character she wanted in her company. Finding his address wasn't difficult with her connections. The apartment building was in a part of town Alexandra rarely visited, where rent was cheap and dreams came to die slowly. She parked her Mercedes and felt immediately out of place. Apartment 4B. She knocked, straightening her blazer nervously. The door opened, and there he was, looking even more tired than before. Recognition dawned in his eyes, followed by confusion. "How did you find me?" he asked. "I'm Alexandra Winters," she said, extending her hand. "CEO of Winters Innovation. And I owe you more than an apology." Ethan didn't take her hand. You track me down to ease your conscience? I tracked you down to offer you a job, she replied. I looked into who you are, Mr. Parker. Former senior developer at TechSphere. Their loss could be my gain. His expression hardened. I don't need charity. Good, because I'm not offering any. I need someone with your skills. The coffee incident just made me aware of your existence. Before he could respond, the little girl appeared behind him. Dad, who is it? Just someone from the city, Lily, he said, his protective instinct evident. Alexandra knelt down to the girl's level. Hi, Lily. I'm Alexandra. I accidentally ruined your dad's shirt the other day, and I came to apologize. Lily studied her with the frank curiosity only children possess. You look like a princess from my books. Alexandra laughed, genuinely. I'm definitely not a princess. Just someone who made a mistake and wants to make it right. She stood and handed Ethan her business card. Think about it. The position starts at twice what you were interviewing for. Call me if you're interested. As she walked away, she heard Lily ask, Is she going to be your new boss, Dad? Alexandra smiled to herself. She had done what she could. The rest was up to him. 3 days passed with no call. Alexandra told herself it didn't matter, she had tried to do the right thing. But on the 4th day, her assistant announced that an Ethan Parker was in the lobby. Send him up, Alexandra said, her heart beating unexpectedly fast. Ethan entered her office wearing a clean but clearly well-worn suit. I'm not here for charity, he said without preamble. I already told you, it's not charity. It's business. She gestured to the chair across from her desk. Please, sit. He remained standing. I want to see the job description first. And I want to know why the CEO of a company like this is personally recruiting someone like me. Alexandra respected his directness. Fair enough. She handed him a folder. The position is real. We need someone with your experience in system architecture. As for why I'm personally involved, let's just say I don't like leaving messes I've created. Ethan finally sat, opening the folder. As he read, his expression changed from skepticism to interest. This is, actually perfect for my background. I know. I read your resume. She leaned forward. Mr. Parker, I'm not going to pretend I understand your situation fully. But I recognize talent and character when I see it. Both are rare. He looked up from the papers. My daughter is my priority. I need flexibility for school pickups, doctor appointments. We have an on-site childcare center for employees. And flexible hours for parents. She smiled slightly. Contrary to what throwing coffee might suggest, I do try to run a humane company. For the first time, Ethan's face relaxed into something approaching a smile. When would you want me to start? How's Monday? The transition wasn't smooth at first. Alexandra found herself checking on Ethan's progress more than she did with other new employees. She told herself it was because of how he'd been hired, but deep down, she knew there was more to it. Ethan, for his part, kept a professional distance. He was excellent at his job, arriving early and often staying late after Lily was settled in the company's childcare center. His colleagues quickly came to respect his quiet competence and innovative solutions. 2 months into his employment, Alexandra was working late when she passed by the childcare center. Through the glass door, she saw Ethan sitting at a tiny table with Lily, helping her with what appeared to be homework. The tenderness in his expression as he explained something to his daughter made Alexandra pause. She had built her life around her company, around proving herself in a male-dominated industry. Relationships had always taken a back seat to ambition. Watching Ethan with Lily, she felt an unfamiliar longing. The next day, she found herself in the company cafeteria at the same time as Ethan. Instead of taking her usual private lunch in her office, she approached his table. May I join you? She asked. He looked surprised but nodded. Of course. They ate in awkward silence for a few minutes before Alexandra spoke. Your daughter seems wonderful. Ethan's face softened. She is. She's been through a lot, but she's incredibly resilient. Children often are. Alexandra hesitated. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been raising her alone? 3 years. Her mother decided parenthood wasn't for her. His tone was matter-of-fact, but Alexandra could sense the pain beneath the words. That must be incredibly difficult. It is. But also incredibly rewarding. He looked at her curiously. What about you? Any family? Alexandra shook her head. Just the company. It's been my baby since I was 25. That's impressive, Ethan said, and she could tell he meant it. But also a lot of pressure to carry alone. Something about his understanding made her walls begin to crumble. It is. Sometimes I wonder what I've sacrificed for success. Their conversation continued, moving from personal to professional topics. Alexandra found herself laughing more than she had in months. When they parted ways, something had shifted between them. Over the following weeks, their lunch meetings became regular. Alexandra found herself looking forward to them, planning her day around that hour. She learned about Ethan's struggles after losing his job, about how he'd sold his car and moved to a smaller apartment to make ends meet. He never complained, simply stated facts with that same quiet dignity that had first caught her attention. In turn, she found herself sharing things she rarely discussed, her difficult climb to the top, the sexism she'd faced, the loneliness of leadership. Ethan listened without judgment, offering insights that showed he truly heard her. 3 months after Ethan started working at Winters Innovation, a crisis hit. Their main server crashed the night before a major product launch, threatening to derail months of work. Alexandra called an emergency meeting of the tech team. Ethan immediately took charge, organizing the team into groups and calmly directing the recovery effort. While others panicked, he remained focused, his experience evident in every decision. By dawn, the system was back online, the launch saved. Alexandra watched him from the doorway of the server room, his sleeves rolled up, tie long discarded, giving final instructions to the team. When the others had left, she approached him. You saved us tonight, she said simply. He shrugged, exhaustion evident in his posture. Just doing my job. No, you went far beyond that. She hesitated. Ethan, I'd like to promote you to head of system architecture. The position opens next month when Jim retires. His eyes widened. That's a significant jump. You've earned it. Tonight proved what I've been seeing for months. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I don't know what to say. Say yes. She smiled. The hours are more flexible, and the pay increase would be substantial. I need to think about it. Changes like this affect Lily too. Alexandra nodded, respecting his priorities. Of course. Take the day off. You've earned it. As he gathered his things to leave, she added, and Ethan? Thank you. He paused at the door. For what? For showing me what real leadership looks like. The promotion changed things. Ethan now attended executive meetings, working directly with Alexandra on strategic initiatives. Their professional relationship deepened, but so did their personal connection. Alexandra found herself sharing more of her decision-making process with him, valuing his perspective. 6 months after the coffee incident, Alexandra hosted a company picnic in the city park. She watched as Ethan played soccer with Lily and other employees' children, his laughter carrying across the grass. When he caught her watching, he waved her over. Come join us, he called. Alexandra shook her head. I'm not dressed for soccer. Lily ran up to her, cheeks flushed with excitement. Please play with us, Ms. Winters. Dad says you need more fun in your life. Alexandra raised an eyebrow at Ethan, who had the grace to look embarrassed. Did he now? Kids and their honesty, he said with a shrug. But she's not wrong. Something in his gaze made Alexandra kick off her heels. All right then. Prepare to be amazed by my hidden soccer talents. She had no such talents, as quickly became apparent. But running across the grass, laughing as she missed the ball completely, Alexandra felt lighter than she had in years. When she finally collapsed on the ground, breathless, Ethan sat beside her. See? Fun isn't so terrible, he said. She turned to look at him, struck by how different he appeared from the man she drenched with coffee. His face was relaxed, his eyes bright. Success suited him. I've been all work for so long, I forgot what this feels like, she admitted. Balance is important. Something I had to learn the hard way after Lily's mother left. Alexandra sat up, hugging her knees. You're good at it. Balancing everything. I'm trying. He hesitated. Alexandra, I've been meaning to thank you. Not just for the job, but for seeing something in me when I couldn't see it myself. I just recognized what was already there. Their eyes met, and for a moment, Alexandra felt something shift between them, something beyond friendship or professional respect. The moment was broken when Lily called for her father. Ethan stood, offering Alexandra his hand. She took it, feeling the warmth of his palm against hers. Duty calls, he said with a smile. As she watched him run back to his daughter, Alexandra realized with startling clarity that she was falling for Ethan Parker. The realization terrified her. Alexandra had built walls around her heart for years, focusing on her career instead of relationships. Opening herself to potential rejection went against every instinct she developed. Over the next few weeks, she found herself creating distance between them, keeping their interactions strictly professional. If Ethan noticed the change, he didn't mention it, though she sometimes caught him looking at her with confusion in his eyes. The company's annual charity gala arrived, a black-tie event that raised funds for education in underserved communities. Alexandra had always attended alone, but this year, as she stood greeting donors in her evening gown, she found herself scanning the room for Ethan. He arrived late, looking uncomfortable but handsome in a rented tuxedo. Lily wasn't with him. Alexandra had arranged for childcare for employees attending the event. You clean up well, she said when he approached her. So do you, he replied, his eyes taking in her midnight blue gown. Though you always look. He trailed off, seeming to catch himself. I always look what? She prompted. Impressive, he finished, though she sensed that wasn't what he'd intended to say. The evening progressed with speeches and auctions. Alexandra found herself repeatedly drawn to Ethan's presence across the room. When the band began playing and couples moved to the dance floor, she made a decision. She crossed the room to where he stood watching the dancers. Would you like to dance? She asked, surprising herself with her boldness. He looked startled but pleased. I should warn you, I'm not very good. Neither am I. We can be terrible together. On the dance floor, his hand rested lightly on her waist, keeping a respectful distance between them. They moved awkwardly at first, but soon found a rhythm. Why have you been avoiding me? He asked quietly. The directness of the question caught her off guard. I haven't been. Alexandra, he interrupted gently. You've barely spoken to me outside of meetings for weeks. She looked away, gathering her courage. I've been confused about some things. What things? The music swelled around them, providing a moment of privacy in the crowded room. About how I feel when I'm with you, she admitted. It's unfamiliar territory for me. His hand tightened slightly on her waist. I understand unfamiliar territory. I've been there since the day you offered me that job. Are you sorry you took it? She asked, suddenly afraid of his answer. Never. His eyes held hers. It gave me back my dignity. And it brought you into our lives." The song ended, but neither of them moved away. "Ethan, I don't know how to do this. My whole life has been about control and certainty." "And this isn't certain?" he asked. "Far from it." He smiled then, a gentle expression that made her heart race. "Some of the best things in life aren't certain, Alexandra. They're just worth the risk." Before she could respond, one of the board members approached, pulling her away for an introduction. The moment was lost, but his words stayed with her. "The